Alright, here we are, scene of the crime, outside my house in Philly. Downstairs neighbor had his 2020 Indian Scout bobber stolen from this spot right here outside of our place. He was keeping it here. He had it for like 3 or 4 months, I think. He had it just sitting here overnight. Somebody came by, wheeled it right away. Luckily, we got some cameras right there. We got some footage of it. So we're going to hop on the bike, talk a little bit about it. Alright, what is up everybody? As always, thanks for tuning in to another MotoJon video. We're back out on the streets of Philly, riding around on the Sportster today. So if you're tuning in and haven't subscribed yet, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit that button, like this video. Go back and check out some of our other videos too, you find some you like back there. Alright, so like I said, a little intro of the video there, my downstairs neighbor had his 2020 Indian Scout bobber stolen from right outside of our place. So obviously that's going to be the theme for today. We got a little footage of that theft. We've got cameras outside. We're going to run a little bit of that footage of the theft here of the bike in a little bit. And then we're also going to talk a little bit about some tips for motorcycle security in the city, because I've never had a garage in the city. I've always had my bike outside. A lot of the guys I ride with keep their bikes outside. It's a little scary sometimes when you think about just leaving your bike out there in a major city like this. But there are obviously some precautions and safety measures you can take to not get your bike stolen. And I've got a lot of experience like that because I said my bikes have always been on the streets for as long as I've had them. I've never had a garage. So we're going to talk about the scenario that played out with my neighbor and some of the precautions that he should have taken. And some of the stuff that, I mean, he had some stuff that he could have done to not have that bike get stolen. And for some reason that night, he just didn't do it. So for the most part, he had just been leaving his bike there, not chained or not locked or anything. And I guess, to my understanding, Indians apparently don't come with a fork lock that locks the forks in place. That doesn't come standard. I guess it was a buy-up option, he said. He didn't get it. But honestly, I mean, a fork lock, seriously, that should come standard on, like, every bike. And in this particular scenario, if he would have just even had a simple thing as his forks locked, he'd still have his bike today. So there was sometimes he was covering it. He did have a disc lock on it sometimes, but sometimes he would, sometimes he wouldn't. Man, I tell you what, like, if that's my bike, I'm locking, covering, doing as much as I can so that nobody can mess with that thing. Now, granted, I know I'm gonna have some people out there saying, well, if somebody wants your bike, they're gonna get it. You're like, yes, I 100% agree. If somebody wants your bike, like, listen, they're gonna get it. If you've got someone with like a major operation, cutting chains, hauling bikes away in vans and stuff like that, like, yes, they're gonna get your bike. But to the average criminal, if you just have some locks on there, the fork's locked or something like that, a guy just walking by, like, there's not much they're gonna be able to do. They're not gonna be able to carry it by themselves. They're not gonna be able to get these things unlocked. Like a major criminal operation, yeah, I mean, these guys, if they want your bike, someone's gonna get your bike if they want it. So I'm curious to know from everybody tuning in out there. I know I got a lot of riders out in the city of Philly and in some different major cities tuning in. Let me know what you guys do for security if you don't have a garage, or anybody out there, you know, if you're in suburbs, like rural, wherever you are, if you don't have a garage, keeping this thing safe, let me know what some of your security precautions are. Are you locking it up? Are you disc locking? Are you locking forks? Are you chaining it to something? Let me know. Drop it down in the comments what some of those tips are for motorcycle security. And then a little bit later on, I'm going to give you what I do with my bike to keep it safe, because, like I said, I've had no problems in the few years that I've had my bikes here in Philly. Alright, so like I said, we got cameras outside of the house. So we have the theft on camera. I'm going to roll that footage here in just a little bit. I'm going to roll it a couple times. I'm going to do it full screen here in just a second so you get a good look at it, and then I'll probably let it replay up in the corner to get some additional looks at it. So let's start to run that footage. Like, this guy, so he was walking around up and down the street. It was like 5 in the morning. You can see him, he's walking up and down, he's clicking door handles, you know, he's just seeing if any door handle happens to be open. All these cars are locked. He sees a real nice Corvette across the street. He runs over there, tries to take a look at that, can't get in. He almost goes the opposite direction of my house and the bike, but then he looks over and he sees the bike and he's like, oh, what's going on over here? So he's getting all real up close to the bike. He's trying to push it around. So the bike is in gear and he obviously doesn't know how to operate it, and because he's just some average criminal, you know, he's messing around out there. He's trying to push it around, it's in gear, he can't get it to go anywhere. You know, he's pushing it back and forth, all this and that, he can't get it, but he keeps trying, he's not giving up. Eventually he realizes that if he pulls the clutch in, this thing's gonna start rolling. And again, there's no locks on the bike, there was no fork lock, there was no chains on the tires or anything to prevent it from rolling. Like I said, my neighbor does have a disc lock. He didn't use it that night. I think even a cover this guy might have just been like, whatever is that. So as you can see, he finally got the clutch in, he rolls it down the street, and he's off into the distance with the bike. So I'm gonna let some of that footage roll again up in the corner. You can kind of see the scenario that played out. I mean, honestly, this is a scenario where this is just an average guy walking down the street, you know, looking to break into some easy car, get an easy find. Had there been any lock or any precaution on this bike, I mean, this guy is just going to walk away. He had no idea what he was doing. He didn't go out with the intentions that night of stealing a motorcycle. It was just an easy find for him, and that's really unfortunate because, I mean, I feel bad for my neighbor, but I mean, it's kind of his fault. He should have locked that thing up. You got to take every precaution you can to freaking take care of your bike if it's just sitting out on the street in a major city like this. So like I said, we're letting some of that footage run up there again in the corner. You can kind of see how that played out. Honestly, like, he just messed around with it, realized he had to pull in the clutch, and then wheeled it down the street. I mean, it's kind of crazy because I have no idea how far he would have went. Like, how far are you going to push a stolen motorcycle down the street in a city at like 5:30 in the morning? So I don't know if my neighbor, you know, I don't know if he walked around looking for it somewhere, but I mean, my guess is, I mean, he's not getting that thing back. I know he put in a police report, but I mean, let's be honest, I feel like the odds of getting that thing back, and I mean, that's crazy though, because a 2020 brand new Indian Scout Bobber, that thing was awesome, nice bike. I mean, he, like I said, I mean, he just had it sitting there, which is crazy. It's kind of his own fault, but I kept telling him, like, man, you got to be careful with that thing, lock it up. In this scenario, even the simplest precaution, that guy tried to roll it, you know, a lock or something. He didn't have any cutters with him or anything like that. Once he realized he wouldn't have been able to roll it, I feel like he would have just left it there. So now a little bit about me and my bike. Like I always say, I don't have a garage. And I'll tell you a little some of the precautions that I have taken over the years to keep my bike safe in the city without ever having been in a garage. So number one, I always cover my bike no matter what, always cover it up. Even something as simple as that, if somebody doesn't know what it is or doesn't know what's under there, they're more likely to just walk by it. Number two, I always lock the forks. Always. I mean, it's just a simple thing. Yeah, obviously someone can break the fork in there, they jam this thing back and forth, like they're gonna get it eventually, but another simple precaution, just lock the forks if you can. And then finally, I've lived in 2 different places. I've always had it chained to something. So I went out on Amazon, got the biggest, baddest, heaviest, dutiest chain and lock that I could find on the market. And before, I locked it to a gate fence by the house, and now I lock it to a pole in an undisclosed location. I'm not telling anybody where it is because no one's coming out and finding my bike. No, I'm just kidding. But I've always had it locked up to something with the biggest, baddest, heaviest, dutiest chain I could possibly find. But like I said, like, if somebody wants it, they're gonna get it. All of those precautions are just gonna save you from the things like, you know, just some dude walking by that thinks he's gonna roll your bike away. Well, I mean, if you don't have any cutters, if you don't have anything like that to get it, then no, you're not gonna get it. Move on to the next one that's easier and not locked up, because I mean, a lot of these guys, they're just looking for easy gets. But don't get me wrong, there is those operations out there where, I mean, dudes are running around with vans, scouting stuff out. I mean, if it's out there, listen, like I said, you know, someone is gonna get it if they want it. You just got to take as many precautions as you can to keep that thing safe and locked up. So some other stuff out there too that you can do to help protect your bike security in the city. There is the disc locks as well. Disc lock is going to go right around the rotor, so I mean, basically you're just not going to be able to roll it, not going to be able to spin. Some of them too even have like movement sensors and activation that's going to go like a or maybe to like scare someone off, which is helpful. Even a little noise like that might get somebody to run away. Some other stuff too out there, I know there's like that low jack system. I think it works off of like GPS. I think it will alert you like if your bike has movement, like after it's been stationary for a while. I think it also works as like a tracking mechanism to where if someone does take it, like you're going to be able to track it down and find it. Ideally we want to have that thing in a garage, but I mean listen, somebody sees it in there, knows where it is, they're scouting it out, even they would be able to break into the garage and take it. So I mean listen, motorcycles, they're lighter weight, they're easier to take than a car. People are out there taking them, but you just got to protect yourself and your bike as much as you can. So that's a quick little look at some unfortunate bike theft that happened right underneath my house and my neighbor that lives down below. Sorry for that. Kind of his own fault. I don't know if he's tuning in or watching this, but he knows it was his own fault. But I mean, feel bad for him. Like, I'd be devastated if somebody stole my bike. And then that was also a quick review of some of the ways that I protect my bike in the city. Chains, locks, covers, all that stuff as much as you can. Chain it to something. But like I said, let me know, anybody tuning in there without a garage, or you're in the city, wherever you are, let me know what some of your tips are. What do you do to keep your bike safe and protected from theft? So we're going to wrap it up here, rolling through the little neighborhood of Manayunk. I got a video of a little tour of Manayunk back in my videos, so drop back through there and check it out and give you a little tour of Manayunk. So we're going to end it there, coming across the Schuylkill River here over this bridge. As always, if you like traveling around talking motorcycles, make sure you subscribe to the channel, like this video, take a look back at some of our other videos. And of course, make sure you check us out on Instagram too to stay up to date on everything we got going on. As always, ride safe out there. It's the Moto John. We'll see you all on down the road. Peace.